The Eastern Front opened with a quiet, almost threatening breath. Everything looked calm. Too calm. It was as if even nature sensed the coming disaster and held its breath. As soldiers marched forward, snow, wind, and uncertainty became their only companions. No enemy in sight, yet everyone felt it waiting somewhere ahead.
On this front, the war was often fought against an enemy no one could see. No smoke, no gunfire, only a white emptiness. Yet soldiers sensed that danger lurked just beyond that stillness. When Russia's massive army awakened, it was large enough to shake the world. But its steps revealed disorganization rather than strength. Unarmed soldiers, worn-out boots, poor training. Numbers were many, but power was something else entirely.
Russia's mobilization was so enormous that in some regions soldiers waited in line for days. Some were sent to the front without even a rifle. Yes, this was an army, but it was also the beginning of a gigantic gamble. Serbia represented a small yet stubborn force. Mountains, valleys, and snow were its allies. Austria-Hungary's arrogance met a harsh slap on these lands.
The imperial army expected an easy victory, but what it met was chaos. Units trapped in narrow passes, sudden attacks. The true face of war was first felt here.
In Istanbul, arguments grew even before the storm began. Some insisted the empire must stay out of the war. Others claimed it was an opportunity that could not be missed.
Internal pressures, external pressures, economic fears. The Ottoman government was trapped between two doors, one open to peace, the other to a dark road toward war.
In the Mediterranean, two German warships approached Istanbul, about to accelerate history. Their arrival was not just a line in the newspapers. It was a crack forming in the empire's destiny.
The moment these ships entered the harbor, nothing would stay the same. Some believed it meant salvation. Others sensed it was the beginning of the end. In Istanbul, the decision tables had become a political labyrinth. Every corner held a different voice, and each voice pointed to a different danger. The statesmen knew their choice would shape not only the present, but the future of an entire empire. External pressure grew stronger. Germany wanted the Ottomans at its side, while Britain tried everything to prevent it. The empire felt like a small world caught between two giants.
In the city, the people waited in silence. Would the empire enter the war or remain neutral? Whispers filled cafes, yet no one dared speak loudly. The air felt heavy, as if a storm was about to break.
German officers and Ottoman sailors now shared the same deck. They moved toward the same target, yet each carried a different fear inside. The silent waters of the Black Sea would change the fate of the world within hours. And then the moment arrived. The first shell was fired, and an empire stepped onto a path with no return. That single blast awakened not only Russia, but the entire world. The Ottoman Empire was now officially at war. Headlines, streets, and soldiers repeated the same words: the Great War. History had opened its doors, and no one knew what would follow. Ottoman units began advancing toward the Caucasus. The roads were narrow, the weather harsh, and the enemy unseen. The only sound echoing between the mountains was the soldiers' heavy footsteps. In the Caucasus, winter was more than cold. It carried a silence that broke men's spirits.
The blizzard scattered not only snow, but hope itself.
Most soldiers were not prepared for winter. Thin uniforms, worn boots, missing ammunition. It wasn't the war striking them, it was nature. Miscommunicated commands, messages that never arrived, roads that did not exist on the maps. In the Caucasus, war did not unfold as written on paper.
As the units approached Sarıkamış, hope gave way to exhaustion. Every step grew heavier. Every face froze. The enemy was stronger than expected. The noose tightened. Ottoman units were being drawn into a closing trap. Hunger, cold, exhaustion. The units were being crushed not only by the enemy, but by life itself.
One night, the storm suddenly intensified. The temperature dropped like a sharp blade. And that night, one of the most tragic chapters of history began.
Most who reached Sarıkamış could no longer speak. Their lips were frozen, their hands numb. The silence screamed louder than any voice. At this point of the war, there was no turning back. Only one question remained: how many would return?
Thousands of soldiers died before even seeing the battlefield. The most merciless face of war was sometimes not bullets, but nature itself.
Sarıkamış became a deep wound in the heart of the empire. It was not just a military defeat. It was a pain that would never fade from a nation's memory. The Caucasus Front was not merely collapsing, it was breaking apart. Soldiers were retreating, but what they left behind was more than land. An era was slowly ending. And now, the wind of war turned west. The tragedy in the east was closing, but a much greater nightmare was about to begin, because the next destination was the darkness of the Western Front.